Hello, my name is Gage Fuller. I'm currently an employee with the Forest Service here in Alabama, and today I'd like to talk to you about one of our closest partners. Before I begin, I'd just like to say that all statements and opinions expressed in this presentation are my own, are in no way meant to represent the federal government's stance on any topics discussed. So, if you're even remotely interested in public lands within the United States, then you're most likely aware that the agencies that manage them are currently undergoing many challenges, from financial restraints to an exponential growth in recreational visitation. There are a plethora of gaps that simply cannot be filled by us alone. And fortunately for us here in Alabama, there is a nonprofit organization that manages to fill and even exceed those gaps and expectations. And that organization's name is Wild Alabama. So, who are they? Wild Alabama is a nonprofit based out of Moulton, Alabama, that focuses on education outreach, trail maintenance, and wilderness management within the National Forests of Alabama. Currently, they focus primarily on the Bankhead and Talladega National Forests, and even more specifically, the Sipsey Wilderness. They're composed of almost entirely volunteers, who they rely on to implement their goals, um, and they're very close partners with the Forest Service. And I can say from firsthand experience that we benefit greatly from their assistance in managing this massive wilderness. Um, the membership of Wild Alabama is open to all, so they really represent a massive amount of variety of people, from like I say, a wide range of backgrounds. So, who I interviewed for the information I'm going to present to you, um, is a woman by the name of Kim Waits. I was fortunate enough to be given a presentation on Leave No Trace by Kim. And after hearing how passionate Kim was about wilderness areas and how her organization matched her passion, I knew that I would have to reach out and ask her for an interview. It was also a good opportunity to meet one of our partners and learn about how we can work together in unison. So Kim is the wilderness stewardship coordinator for all of the wilderness areas within Alabama, as well as the Leave No Trace master educator for the organization. She's got a massive amount of experience with event planning, from putting on trail maintenance work days to educational seminars regarding various topics, from wild hogs in the wilderness to Alabama's watersheds and water quality here in Alabama. So, one thing that really struck out to me during Kim's interview was her past experience in the outdoors and hosting events. And in essence, she had very little of both. She had actually got her start recreating in the outdoors through Wild Alabama much later on in life, after she'd already had a career, had children. And I found it really neat that this organization inspired her so much that working in the outdoors became her career. Um, and I believe that says a lot about what Wild Alabama does. So, why are they important? Wild Alabama serves the people and the forests of Alabama in many ways, which is why I've chosen to speak to you today about them. Utilizing volunteers, they perform trail maintenance duties, like hiking miles into the Sipsey Wilderness to clear and reconstruct trails using hand tools and crosscut saws. And without these efforts, many of the trails within the Bankhead National Forest would likely be unrecognizable, or even impossible to follow. They also provide a forest watch that ensures that the Forest Service is aware of all threats and developments to the health and well-being of the forest itself. as well as water quality within these protected areas. So in my opinion, the most important role that Wild Alabama plays is education outreach. And there is no question that we are seeing a massive increase in visitation, and many of these visitors are completely new to recreating in the outdoors. The kind of people we're seeing here and all around the country, um, a lot of times do not understand what wilderness areas are, or why they're managed the way that they are. They don't have, they don't understand leave no trace principles. Many do not even possess basic navigational skills, or the ability to read maps or read dangerous flora and fauna such as poison ivy or copperhead snakes, for example. But a large percentage of the people I'm talking about right now do have the desire to gain this knowledge so they can recreate outdoors safely and responsibly. And what Wild Alabama does is provides them with that knowledge through outdoor classes, educational hikes. They have a massive wilderness ranger patrol program where they're actually out in the wilderness, boots on the ground style, interacting with visitors every day. And by doing this and other duties that I've listed, they take a massive weight off the shoulders of the Forest Service employees like myself, which allows us to focus on other projects we have, that will help improve the Bankhead National Forest and the visitors' experience. And what I believe is most admirable about their programs, is that they have them for all age groups and abilities, from young school-age children to senior citizens. They include everyone. And their programs aimed at a younger age group are promoting future stewardship, and responsible recreating on public lands, while their volunteer efforts are improving those public lands every day. Adding on to that, I believe that they simply do not get nearly enough recognition, for their ability to get volunteers to come out. Where we're located in rural North Alabama, it's very sparsely populated. And somehow they're able to maintain a steady flow of workers from various backgrounds. It amazes me every time I see them out working, how they can get all these demographics to work together and to even meet together, in rural North Alabama. I'm impressed every time I go out there. And I'm also impressed by their work. So, how can you get involved? So if you're in the area, it's extremely easy to reach out to Wild Alabama, even if you're not in the area. So excuse that first part. They're always looking for people to join them for their events, and they're especially looking for volunteers of all skill levels. And the easiest way to get a hold of them is by visiting their website. It's called widal.org. That's WIDAL.org. And from there, you can send them a direct message via the contact dropdown. Or if you scroll all the way to the bottom of their webpage, you'll find their email address, their phone number, and their physical address. Also on their homepage, you can view a monthly calendar that shows all the scheduled events. You'll see on the calendar that there's a large variety of event types. Again, I keep saying it, but there's something for anyone. There's also heaps of information on their website regarding their history, the history of the Bankhead, future goals and plans that they're going to be implementing really soon. And there's also my favorite part. There's a gear store, and it's used and new gear, and it goes to benefit the nonprofit. So you can benefit this nonprofit and get something for yourself at the same time. Also, but if you if you're not interested in buying anything, you can simply donate. And again, I cannot overstate how essential they are to public lands here in Alabama, to keeping things going that the way that they are. They do. Without them, I think the forest here would look much different. But if you're on the fence about volunteering or even recreating in the national forest, then I must highly recommend that you simply reach out to one of the Wild Alabama employees. In my personal experience with them, they're just excited to hear from people who are interested in the outdoors and what they do. They're very friendly, they're extremely knowledgeable. And say if you are interested in volunteering but have no experience, they will teach you. The only real requirement for a large majority of their projects is just you to show up, have a strong work ethic, and a friendly attitude, and they'll teach you everything else. I also believe that as a Forest Service employee, that if you're looking for resume experience and networking in this field, Wild Alabama would be an excellent foot in the door, an excellent reference, excellent experience. They're highly regarded throughout the South, not just in Alabama. The experience you'll get here could really set you aside against your peers. So that's all I really have to say about Wild Alabama. I hope that with the information I provided today, that you will consider getting involved with Wild Alabama and work towards making a difference in places like the Bankhead National Forest, the Talladega National Forest, the Conecuh National Forest. If not, I hope that I was at least able to spread awareness about the efforts of this amazing nonprofit. And I just like to say I really appreciate you taking the time to listen to me. I'd also like to thank Kim Waits for taking time out of her extremely busy schedule to answer all the questions I have over the last few weeks. So thank you again for taking the time to listen to what I have to say today. And I hope you reach out, get involved, Wild Alabama.